This is the second half of the Field of Flowers painting, and today I'm going to start putting layers in for the flowers. Now, because this is so dark, I want to actually start with laying in some white for my flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and I have just some titanium white here. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of it to my plate, which is a little bit damp because I I sprayed a little bit of water on it just to hopefully keep things damp. Okay, now I'm just gonna get kind of a feel for my composition. So right here, I wanna put in a flower that's a little bit big because we're up close. So I'm just gonna kind of lay in a larger flower and just kind of putting in some petals. And I'm not going to be too crazy careful, but that's a great start to our flowers. So let's pull one down here. Let's get a little flower action up close here. So there, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals. So I'm going to kind of try to put 6 petals here as well, but it doesn't have to. And just composition wise, I kind of want to sprinkle these out and maybe make 3 of these nice big flowers, big compared to the other flowers. I realize they're not very big, but in a field of flowers, that's kind of big. I've been looking at lots of fields of flowers, and there's small, tiny ones. So in the back, I'm gonna use the skinnier part of my brush, and I'm just gonna put the petals in of the same flower, but smaller. So just a little smaller. And might as well put one right here. But I want to keep it small. I don't want it too big. And let's put, let's see, that's 5 of those. Okay, I'm going to shift gears and let's get my brush into kind of a daisy, more of a daisy type. So I'm just going to pull some skinny daisy-like petals in here. Hope everybody's doing good today. Okay, so the daisy petals, I'm kind of just trying to keep them skinny, and I'm going to add some other petals in between the petals just to kind of, there, that's a crazy daisy, but it's just the first layer. So maybe I'm going to add crazy daisy over here somewhere. Let's pop one in right here. Oh, I got pink on my brush somehow. Didn't mean to do that just yet. Trying to just keep it white. And I'm going to come back in and color these. And the reason I'm going with white first is because my background is so incredibly dark that if I just go in with a dark paint, it doesn't show up well. So I start with white and then I'll add color over the top. And like these daisies, I will actually go in when it's dry and I'll add even more white to get the white petals of the daisy. So I've got a couple of these. Let's try to put one in here that's super tiny. Maybe we'll put it right here, and I'm just really trying to keep this one very skinny leaf petals, very skinny daisy here. Okay, so just put a little bit there. Let's think about what other types of flowers I want in here. I want some, I'm gonna use this stem, I'm gonna call it a stem. And I'm just going to go ahead and pop in a little bit of white in the shape of a cone. Okay, and then I'll pop in color later, but I'm just gonna kind of pretend this is a stem. I'm gonna come over the top of the stem with a different color later, but I just wanna give my eyes that stem. And then let's put another one of those up here. So I'm just gonna kind of pop in cone shape right there, and just pop in a little stem that's crisscrossing this one. Okay, so I've got a couple of cone flowers right here. I think I'd like to put one right here. So I'm just gonna kind of pop it on there in white first. I hope that makes sense as to why I'm doing this in white first. Okay, let's pull a little stem down. Alrighty. 1, 2, 3. I think I could put 5 of these in, and I want them to go different directions from a composition standpoint. I don't want them all pointing in. Some of them I really want to have pointing out in an attempt to really keep the viewer's eye moving. So there's another little cone flower, pulling in a little stem in here. Let's do, shall we do one maybe right here too? Yeah, let's kind of come up and point it this way. All right, so there's our cone shape, and then we'll pull in our little stem. Okay, let's give ourselves stems on these two. And these stems don't have to go all the way down though. Let's just pull in little white stems. That's going to help give my eye an idea of where I want the stems to go. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cone flowers. I try to do a lot of odd numbers. Let's see here. I'm gonna think in terms of more daisies, I think. So let's get in some little skinny petals. Skinny, skinny. And again, I'll be coming back over these with colors. Okay, there's another little daisy. And let's go in. We need to pull some flowers up here. And I think I'm gonna actually pull in some kind of rounded shapes in a few spots. And then as it gets, you know, further out, those rounded shapes are gonna get smaller. Okay, let's put a rounded shape up there, one down here, one down here. And let's put a rounded shape right here and here. And let's see, let's put a rounded shape over here. Let's pull a little daisy in right here, okay. And I need to keep my petals skinnier for the daisy. That's hard to do with this brush, actually. I should probably be switching it out to a skinnier brush, but okay, this is just the first layer, so let's just step back and kind of look at our composition, see what we've got here. So I have a rounded one here, rounded one here, there, right there. I definitely need to break up, this line looks too much in a line, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna kind of pull in another little one of these crazy petals. Okay, so pulling up into this green area, I'm going to pull in another one of those. All right, now I'm going to switch to my colors. So let's wipe this white off the brush. Let's see if we can't get into some pink here. So I'm gonna pull white and some of this red, and I even have some primary magenta on my plate too, and get that pink in there. And I'm just gonna go in on these rounded flowers and lay down the pink on top of the white. And I'm trying to keep the rounded shape really ruffly, meaning not super round, if that makes sense. So I want it uneven. Let's make it as uneven as possible. Okay, so we'll lay in some pink on this one, some pink on this one, some pink here, and I have some need for some pink up here and here. And so I'm stepping back, trying to see how my pink is coming out, and it's good. It's doing good. Now I'm gonna go in to my red and just put like a little dot in each of those, just to give my eye kind of an indication of some kind of center. And then I'm gonna let that kind of dry a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to switch. Let's wash the brush and let's get out, let's move into purple. So I have this beautiful purple, and it's by Montmartre, and I have this whole kit of paints that came in this shape. Let's see here. I need to check on my computer because my computer screen keeps going blank. Don't know why it does that. I'm going to have to actually ask my son about that. Hi, Tammy. Made it home from the doctor. Oh, wow. Hope everything went well. Okay, so let's get into our purples. So I'm going to put some purple just right here, I think. And I don't need too much. So there's our purple. I'm going to grab a different brush. Hopefully you can see the size of that brush. And it's a real, I'm gonna use it as a round petal maker. I don't know if these are even considered petals, whatever these little things are. The little round parts of the flower. And I'm just gonna go in and keep it real purple. Dark purple. And I'm just kind of pouncing it around. So we've got that first nice little section done. Let's pull some of that purple down a little further. Okay, there's that one. And then this one, we'll just pop in some of these. And I like to kind of pounce back and forth, but I also want to make sure I keep it leaning in the right direction. So I'll pounce kind of this side in first to make sure I keep it curved, and then pull in this other side. I'm going to pull it down. And I need just a little bit more in a few spots here. Okay, nice dark clusters. I'll be going over the tops with lighter colors of purple to give it its like highlights. And I really do need to speed up. When I get too slow, I start getting too careful and it just looks too careful, if you know what I mean. Flowers are very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not perfectly balanced. They're not perfectly, you know, they have wind blowing in them, and one side can be smushed in and one side could be real fluffy. So depending on what's going on in nature, that flower is definitely not like a perfect little shape. Let's pull this one down a little bit more. Okay, there's that one. Let's move over to this one. I need to get a little bit more paint on the old brush. Okay, dabbing in more purple dots. This is so much fun, actually. It's pretty calming, meditative, I guess is a great word for it. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna actually pop a little bit more up here. And a little bit more out to the side and up. Okay, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got the dark purple in. I'm gonna let that dry because I wanna come back over the top of that later with something light. And I might be able to use this brush for my daisies. Let's see. Actually, no. I think I'm gonna grab a different brush. Let's try this brush for my daisies. I want to go over the daisies with the white again. And so I'm just going to pull in just more white on these little daisy petals. It's cute little daisy petals. My sister that I did a commission painting for that's very similar to this loves daisies. So I put a lot of daisies in hers, kept them front and center. Okay, we got a nice little daisy petal here, 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 here. I gotta keep adding paint. Here, 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 here. All right, so yeah, when I was working on the commission one for my sister, I had to really keep in mind flowers that she liked and make sure I could get those in there for her. And I actually liked the way it turned out a lot. So I'm just kind of putting in this one, a lot of the same flowers that I used for hers. So let's just get a couple petals here. And again, I want to suggest the flower. I don't necessarily want to have like these perfect flowers. So when I say suggest the flower, I mean, I'm not finishing it. I'm letting the eye of the person looking at the painting complete the picture in their brain. Okay, but we do definitely want to get enough petals in there to make it recognizable. So these daisies are going to remain white. The petals will, obviously. But the other ones, these down here, I'm going to make those yellow. daisy there. Let's see, I've got another daisy over here. So let's, while I've got the white going strong, let's pull in a second layer of white on this daisy. It's kind of hard to do this one on the side of the painting like this. Okay, there's that crazy little daisy. I can't remember if that's a daisy or not, but I'm just gonna leave that alone for right now. And I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna add my yellow. And let's get our, which yellow should I use? I'm kind of feeling like Hansa medium, yellow medium. I was walking in my neighborhood and saw these beautiful little yellow flowers shaped just like that. And I just loved them. So that's what I'm going for, is just the kind of the general shape. Okay, so this Hansa yellow, and I want to get the same brush that I was using before. So we're kind of back to this brush. So let's get this yellow on here. And hopefully these flowers, the white is dry enough that this yellow will show up. So let's get that. Get that on here. Okay, let's pop that in. Let's get more yellow on the old brush. And pop that in, and my white is not dry. So it's kind of blending, which is fine. And let's get the yellow in over here. Pop that in there. And pop some in here. I'm gonna load the brush. I'm really trying to keep the brush loaded, because I want good coverage. And then here's another yellow one. We'll plop that yellow just right on top of that white that I have there. And got another one to do over here. So we'll get this one done. I'll add some little centers at some point, but I'm trying to kind of get some colors down without overwhelming my plate. Okay, now let's see. I've got this beautiful Hansa yellow. I'm gonna try to pop that into the centers of the daisies. So let's get our little daisy centers. And a nice little pop of yellow over here. And one in the center of this one. And let's see, I think that was all my daisies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That might have been a daisy too. I honestly can't remember. Well, let's give it a little yellow center anyways. We'll figure it out. I think this was supposed to be pink. No. Sorry. That is not. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that was going to be one of those, but I don't want to have too many. I really like the odd numbers, but you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and make this a yellow flower. Okay. Now, while I've got, I'm gonna switch to other colors again. So on this plate, I have my white and I have this magenta that hopefully is still wet enough to work with. It's dried out quite a bit, but I'll get a little bit there, and I'll get a little bit of that white. And it's I'm just adding some fluff some ruffles. And I'm just touching it in a few places on these pink flowers. Really trying to not do too much and cover over all the pink, but also trying to add some depth, like we might see, you know, ruffles in a, kind of like in a carnation. I know carnations are not wildflowers, but there's those cute little wrinkly flowers out in the wildflower fields. You see them all the time. So that's what I'm trying to do here, is just get in some of that darker pink. Okay, and let's pull it up here and up here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe I'll add, let's add one. Where can I add one? Let's do up here. So we'll just plop in a little shape. I might have to go back and add some lighter colors to that. In fact, let's just take our brush with the white on it now and just come in and add some white. In fact, I'm going to touch a little white on each of these. Just tiny, tiny bit of white. Kind of sprinkling some white around, just touching it on top of some of that pink. That got too much. Let's get the darker color. Let's get the darker color back in there. Oops, got purple on my brush that time. Okay, let's switch. We're gonna go to purple again. So I'm gonna pull out that brush that I was using, a short little stubby brush. And let's pull in some white and mix it. Let me get this chunk of paint out of the way here. Mix it in with this purple. So now I'm gonna have this beautiful light purple. That's so pretty. It's a light, almost like, I guess you could say, a lavender color. And I'm just gonna kind of come right in and pounce it over the top of these cone-shaped flowers. So let's pull them all the way down. Okay, and now we're going to add some of these lighter dots down here. Let's pull in some more. Got to reload the brush. And let's do the same thing over here. So I'm kind of coming on top and just pouncing that lavender color in some strategic spots. Okay, now we've got a couple more over here we need to take care of. And I'm running out of paint, so I've got to add more white and purple together and just really get more of that paint so that when I go to dip into it, I get a nice glob on the end of my brush. There, that's better, to get some nice dots. Okay. And we've got another one to do up here. So I'll just kind of plop this in. And I don't want to plop it everywhere because I do want some of that dark to show through still. But I want those little purple things to show up really nicely. So even if I have to go back in and add more dark later, I can. Just really want to make sure I've got good coverage here with the lighter color. And I think I could stand, well, no, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to go back into my dark purple, and I'm actually going to add a little bit of that dark purple just in a few key spots. So again, we'll just put in just a little bit of the dark purple. And there's a few spots in this flower that I think could use a tad of the dark purple again. And let's get a little bit more dark purple and just plop it there. Okay, I think I better stop messing with those. All right, we'll stop messing with those. Now let's stand back and see what we need to do. I'm gonna need more white layers on my daisies, and I'm gonna need centers in these yellow flowers. The other painting that I did, I put in some Queen Anne's lace, but this painting is squished, it's much more narrow. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that on this one. So maybe I'm going to come in with just some kind of hints of dots, but this time I'm going to make just red, like straight red. So this is quinacridone red. Okay, and I've got that little brush I was just using on my purple flowers, and I'm just gonna come right into my red, and I'm just gonna add like some dots. And I just wanna like give the hint that there's some flowers happening in the background somewhere. We don't really see what they are, we just get like this little hint of them. And it'll just spark up add some more color in there. So just kind of sprinkling this red around. Let's put some down here. And where else do I want some red? Just sprinkling in some dots of red. Let's make that red a little bit more pronounced. This area. Down here. And these can be like, you know how baby's breath look like, but these are not baby's breath because they're red, obviously. So we'll just consider them something unnamed in the wild. We have no idea. That's what's so fun about floral paintings is you can just make up your own flowers. And quite often, if you just give a suggestion that something is there, the eye kind of makes it into something more. So I'm just kind of stepping back and seeing where I have my red sprinkled in. And I may go ahead and use some red just to kind of give another little hint of a center in this little pink flower. Just kind of stick it underneath the white highlight that I've got going on. So there's a hint of a center for those. And then stepping back, I want to get maybe some orange going. So I just happen to have the perfect setup. I've got this yellow that's still wet enough to do something with. So let's load up our yellow and our red on the plate and just make a beautiful orange. Okay, so I've gotten out a little bit of orange. I'm gonna come in and plop in some centers for these guys. Some orange centers. Okay, got some orange we need to put in right there. I've got that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. Okay, got our orange in. Let's see if there anything else I want to put. Let's put some of that orange in the centers of the daisies, because that hands of yellow is not really showing up against all the colors I got going on. So I'm just going to kind of pull in a little bit of this orange into the daisy centers. Okay, so that shows up a little better now. And then let's rinse the brush and come in and scoop up a nice dot of that yellow and just plop the yellow right in the center of the daisy again, over the top of that orange to make sure it's light and bright. Okay, now let's go in and get more white. So we've got to get even more white on our daisies. Now this is getting a little dry over here. So hopefully it will cooperate. So let's see if it's going to cooperate. So I'm making this into a little daisy here. Yeah, this brush is not working all that well. I'm gonna switch to a different brush, and I'm gonna come in and find some white that's still really nice and pliable. Okay, and let's just fix up some of these daisy petals. Okay, as I stand back, I don't think I really should mess with it anymore. I think I'm just making things worse. So let's stop. Let's just, oops, wait, no, I do want to pull in more white right here on this one. So let's get some, okay, yeah, I just wanted to pull out some more petals on that one. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and make some of these, paint over some of these stems, because I don't want them to be white. And I'm going to switch plates for that. So let's go ahead and switcheroo. Now as I am making this transition, I can't see my laptop's computer screen at the moment, but if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and make them, and I will be sure to check it when I get through this. So I'm going to pull in some of this green here. Let's make sure my brush has not got a ton of of water on it. So this is, I just pulled out some chromium oxide green. And I'm gonna start with that, and I'm just gonna see how I like it. And I'm just gonna kind of come right over the top of that white that I had plopped in here. And it's actually not standing out at all. So I might actually want to do something different, but let's just plop it in here. All right, so let's just get some green covering over the white stems that I had placed in here. And let's pull in this one. And let's pull in this one. And I also want leaves on some of these. So like this little guy right here, I really want to see like some little tiny leaves coming off of it. So I'm just throwing on some little leaves in a few of these. Let's plop this green over here, over this white and over this white, and put a leaf in or two. And this needs a stem. Okay, so now I'm really just kind of trying to give hints of more stems, really, is what's happening. All right, let's give this one a stem, and this one a stem. You may not even be able to see it from way back there, which is okay. All right, there's a daisy stem that needs to be darkened in. Let's put a daisy stem right there. A stem right there. Maybe we'll plop in a little leaf there, and maybe we'll plop a little leaf right there. Little leaf there. There, and then this daisy stem. We'll pull that down. Okay, let's see, where else might I need like a little hint of a leaf? And this stem, let's make sure it's going up into that flower. Okay, let's see. I'm going to place a little stem right here and right here and right there. Let's get some more green on the old brush though. Okay, so now I've just got kind of some hints of stems for a few of these. And let's see, I kind of want more yellow up in here. I think I need more yellow up in there. So let's pull in a little bit of this Hands of Yellow on my new plate. Ooh, that was a lot. Didn't need all that. All right, so let's get the white back out, because I do want to put a little white into it as well. I'm going to go back to that brush I was using before, this brush here, and I'm going to grab a little bit of white and a little bit of that Hands of Yellow. I'm going to go ahead and just mix it on the plate. And I just really feel like I need more yellow. So we're going to just plop in some of these these petals. And this kind of is really wet, this paint, actually. Where else? Let's plop one up here. So we're gonna kind of just squish the brush against the canvas. Let's see, let's pull a yellow one up here. And I want to keep it nice and small though, if I can. Yeah, I'm gonna need to just change brushes. This is not working. Not working. Okay, so I've got a brand new brush here. I'm actually gonna go into the white, and I'm just gonna put those petals down that the yellow will go over the top of. Okay, let's get some white. Let's come in here. Give a hint of these petals. And bring in our white over here. And that white just kind of helps it show up. It helps the paint show up more. I kind of even think this yellow flower right here needs a little bit of white. And maybe even hit this one a little bit. I just kind of feel like I need to spark some of these. Oh no, I got green on my brush. Let's not do that. No, no, no. Don't want to do that. Okay, I'll fix that when it's dry. Okay, and I'm gonna pull more yellow back in over the tops where I just put all that white. Let's see, let's start over here. Okay, let's pull in more yellow here. This one needs another petal. There we go. Hopefully my head's not in the way. Okay, and let's pull in more yellow here. So I'm really just having to kind of go back and forth and darken and lighten as the case may be. I'm gonna pull some more yellow down here and try to see if that will darken a little bit. Okay, now I need to go back and grab my other plate because I have that orange that I made with that red and that yellow. Actually, my yellow's kind of drying up quite a bit. So let's see if I can just get enough to get some centers. Okay, that's probably enough. Don't need those centers to be very big. I think we'll call those centers just fine. And now I'm stepping back and I'm just kind of looking at what I've got here. One of the things that I kind of wanted to fix was I pulled this sky way down here and I wanted some yellow to be here, but I'm not sure if now is the time to try to do anything with that or not. I might actually just go ahead and pull in some green. I have this beautiful green that I love. It is phthalo yellow green, and I'm just gonna maybe see about pulling in some stems, just a few more stems. And that, it just makes this phthalo yellow green oh, I don't know, it just sparks things up. So I'm even just gonna pull some stems up further into the sky in a few spots. let it just kind of be wispy though. I want to keep it wispy. Really, really skinny. And maybe one right here. Let's pull one there. So I'm just kind of gonna add in some more grasses, kind of just not even being afraid that it'll cover a flower, because that's what happens in flower fields. There's greenery that covers over the flower tops and you can't even see the flowers half the time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull in some of this. And let's pull in a little bit down here. And I'm really trying to keep this narrow, but it's a little tricky. Kind of liking this green to come over the top of that green of my stems for these purple flowers. Just to kind of make the stem stand out a little bit more. Okay, now let's see here. Stepping back just to kind of see, I think maybe we could use just a little few of these light bright greens in a few more spots. Trying not to forget about the bottom of the painting. In fact, I'm probably going to come down into the bottom and add in some darker. So I'm thinking maybe a little brown, actually. Let's see here. Just going to take a tiny bit of this burnt umber and pull it down into the grasses at the bottom, just to try to give it like some grounding. literal grounding. Okay, so I'm gonna have to pull the painting up on the ledge, and this can be tricky because it's a narrow painting. Okay, there we go. And I'm just gonna flick some of that brown down here in a few places. And just cover over some of these really light areas down at the very base of the canvas. And just in a few spots, I'm not trying to cover the whole thing here. Let's pull in some brown down here. And down here. Okay. I'm going to let some of the brown flick up in a few places, like just little flicks. And even like where there's some really light areas, I don't know why, I just feel like there needs to be some darkness happening down at the bottom here. And then underneath the canvas, there's this really white ledge. I might even go ahead and flip it and just go ahead and pull that brown right along the edge of the bottom of the canvas. And then later I'll go in and decide, do I want to paint the sides of the canvas in the same colors as the painting, or do I want to just paint the sides of the canvas white or black? I've been listening to a lot of different artists on YouTube and on their websites and everywhere I can listen to them. And I'm on this like self-teaching journey big time. And a lot of them say when they turn into a gallery, the gallery wants them to paint the sides either white or black. And I had always learned to paint it the whatever the painting was, just to let the painting go onto the edge. But anyway, so, let's not do that. Actually, let's leave that. I'm going to leave that this way so that this can dry and not stick to this. So I'm going to call this done. Thanks so much for watching. And excuse me, I will put a picture of the finished project up later. But I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. It was fun. So have yourself a great week and take care. Bye-bye.